A very warm welcome to this special live stream that we're doing in partnership with SellerX to help you develop a competitive edge on Amazon. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Mark, Kevin, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're really good. Thanks, Megla. Cool. Margaret, we just dropped out, have we?
It's a bit cold here.
Mark, what happened to your connection? It's a bit laggy. Okay, cool. Yeah, it is a bit cold. Can you guys hear me?
Too much heater.
It's too cold. You're wiser. Your connection is frozen.
How are you doing in Delhi, Megla? With all the heat.
I am melting here. You're freezing and I'm melting. It's like 36, 40 degrees here today. So today we've got 3 experts from SellerX joining us. But before we bring them on screen, we wanted to remind everybody that India sourcing trip early bird pricing ends tomorrow. So if you have not got your tickets yet, do make sure that you get your tickets ASAP because seats are filling up. And this is going to be the trip of a lifetime. You do not want to miss this. It's got everything from learning how to source from India. We'll teach you how to, find and vet suppliers, negotiate with suppliers, place your orders, do your contracts, packaging, shipping, payments. Everything's going to be covered at this trip. And then we've got 17 coaches who are joining us as well from the US, from Australia, from India. Really, really high-level coaches that are very experienced in their respective fields. And we've also got a couple of brands that have built their own businesses sourcing products from India. And then, of course, we go to a fair, which is the Delhi Fair. We spend 3 days there sourcing very cool, unique, innovative products from export-focused manufacturers. And last but not the least, we also experience India's culture. We have a Bollywood night. We go to Taj Mahal. So it's a trip that's packed with a lot of value, a lot of fun, networking sessions, and it's just amazing. You cannot miss this trip if you are looking to source products and if you have your own private label brand. Mark, do you want to add anything about the trip?
Yeah, don't forget the extended trip to Moradabad.
Oh, yes. We're also extending the trip this time, and we've got an optional 3-day trip to Moradabad to visit factories of metal and wooden products. So those are some types of products that Amazon sellers are sourcing from India. And so we thought we'd take people to the source to see how these products are actually manufactured.
And I'm counting down. I think it's 104 sleeps till we go now, so I can't wait. It'll be lovely. Yeah, and I mean, it's just a trip of a lifetime. We had so much fun last time as well as learning and just seeing everything. It was just a great cultural experience. So, yeah, fantastic, guys. Save $500 by booking by tomorrow night.
Yes, save $500. So that's the URL, indiasourcingtrip.com. Get more information there. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to invite our guests on stage. First of all, we have Betty, Tom, and Fanyi joining us. Hi, girls and Guy. How are you doing?
Everyone.
Hi.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show, everyone. Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, good to see the team.
Thank you.
Nice to
Great.
meet
So
you
first
guys.
of all, we want to thank SellerX for bringing so much content and value to our community for this entire month. We've been doing an event called 10X with SellerX throughout the month of June, where we've been putting out a lot of content and doing live webinars and sharing information with the community. So we really appreciate SellerX, helping all of the sellers and providing value and sharing your insights and your own learnings with the community. So thank you so much for that. Okay, and before we begin, let's do some introductions. So Betty, can you tell us about yourself, your background, and what you do at SellerX?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you guys. This is Betty from SellerX. I'm part of the operation team in SellerX. I helped the company set up the warehouse and transportation operation in Asia back from 2015. Now I'm mainly in charge of the in-house warehouse operation in China with a team of 15 people. So it's really my pleasure to be here and looking forward to have deep and fruitful exchange here with all of you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Tom, what about you? Tell us where you're joining from and what your expertise is.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm joining from Hamburg, Germany. I'm a senior brand manager at SellerX. Here, I'm responsible for the portfolio of global brands that we have. In my responsibility, I'm steering and developing those brands from the 360 degrees point of view, which including channel launches, geographical expansion, new product development, content creative development, and so on. And my main task is to drive profitable growth and further expand the brands that we have.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Fanyi, what about you?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Fanyi, and I'm working at SellerX in the Berlin office. I've been working here for more than 2 years, and so at SellerX we also cooperate with sellers and then acquire their brands. So that's what my team would do here. So daily work of mine include like talking to sellers really at different stages, talking about exit opportunity with them, give them a valuation, and then to acquire the brands and then transfer it to our group. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So everybody watching, in case you have any questions for the panelists, you can type them in the comments. We will be taking questions as well. So let's get started. My first question is for you, Betty. How should you approach logistics if you're a small seller versus a big seller? A lot of people in our community are, entrepreneurs. They're just starting out. So what is the difference, and how should they manage their logistics strategy being a small seller versus a big seller?
That's a quite a good question. Yeah, when you are small, it's more efficient and flexible. So it's important that to have a reliable logistic so that we can focus on the growth of the business. But when you are big, the complexity will lower the efficiency and the flexibility. So the standardization become more important. In the meantime, there is economies of scale. So it's really necessary to review the logistics strategy. For example, where and when to open the warehouse, how to consolidate the volume, if we need to go into long-term contract with carriers a lot, and so on. So in order to make the transition, we need to make a balance between flexibility and the standardization. So firstly, we need to get in internal alignment first. We need to scale up the organization with full support of the management. Secondly, we need to do dedication, which means we need to dedicate the responsibilities to different teams and hire more professional people to do their job. Thirdly, to set up a scalable process. For example, we need to fix the root causes and set up an automatic process to solve the issue for long term. But of course, every seller is unique, so make a correct choice in different stage. It's quite important. We need to keep the ability to adapt to the changes swiftly.
Okay. Yeah, those are some good points. So ability to adapt to changes quickly. And I think being a small seller, that's easier to do rather than if you're a big company, if you're a big seller, then sometimes that becomes challenging. Okay, so, and also, a lot of sellers have been faced with so many supply chain issues since 2020. So do you have any advice on how they can solve these common supply chain issues? And, how has SellerX solved these issues themselves?
Okay. Because everyone know now the environment is really unpredictable. So looking for certainty is a solution, and we also need to disperse the risk. For SellerX, we did a lot of measures to address the supply chain issues in the past 2 years. For example, we signed a block service agreement for space protection in transport area. We also ramp up our FBM capacity in Germany. We also opened 3PL warehouses in China. But of course, every seller has its unique situation, but it's always good and safety to have a plan B to make a good calculation on the opportunity cost and react in time. There's another thing I think worth to mention here is that always try to become big or to be part of something big in which you can reduce the risk. I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, so scalability is important as well, right? Because if the more you scale, it's easier to solve some of these issues. All right, Mark, over to you.
No worries, thanks. Okay, Fanyi, look, with you handling a lot of acquisitions and things, with people looking to exit their business, what's the most important aspect they should focus on when they start thinking about it?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think it's a very good question to start with. I think it depends on which stage the seller is at, whether you just started your business, whether you're growing really fast with your brands, or whether your brand is sort of at a maturing stage. So there are different things to consider when we think about exit, right? So when we just started your business, obviously the exit opportunity may look more realistic in a couple of months. But things that you can do since day one is obviously get all the compliance ready, paperwork ready, being very organized, and also kind of documented everything that you learned and you did along the way, and that would help you in the conversation with a potential buyer in say 6 to 12 months time. And so that's for the beginners. And for sellers who own faster growing brand, I think that's a super interesting situation. Obviously, you are overwhelmed by how big how fast the brand is growing, but nevertheless, it's worth it already starting the conversation with buyers. And I think that's actually the good window that you can get a very attractive valuation at the faster growing stage. So at that time, I think it doesn't hurt. Although you may say, "Oh, I still want to grow it for a bit further," but nevertheless, it doesn't harm to start a conversation with potential buyers and then at least to get some valuation indication for you to consider. And for sellers who are owning maturing brands, and you may think, okay, this is to the stage that it's a bit difficult for me to even grow it further or to fully realize the potential of the brands. This is also most of the sellers that they're working with. And this is definitely a very mature opportunity for you to go outside and then to acquire, to inquire valuation information from different buyers. And there, again, it's worth to get every document ready to know your profitability in the past 12 months, to have a clear mind, like how would you engage in the brand operation, maybe part-time wise, like after acquisition. So those things that you can think while engaging in a conversation with buyers. Yeah.
Good, thanks for that. Yeah, so it's good actually to hear you say that you don't have to be, in a business for like 4 or 5 years, that you can start looking at selling after a few months if it's, starting to look positive, which is, I think probably music to a few people's ears, that they're not thinking that they're going to have to work really hard for a long time before they can even, think about selling. So that's great. Now, if someone is looking to sell, should they try and say just can have one marketplace like the US, or should they expand their business before they sell, or is it better to leave that as something to tempt the buyer, that the buyer that can then expand further? They've got a lot more potential. So what would you advise in that respect?
Yeah, I think that's also a very good question. And personally, I think I would strongly advise to leave some growth levers on the table and also to get yourself a better valuation. We definitely give higher valuation to faster growing brands than to sort of a maturing, stabilizing brand. So that's definitely, yeah. If you haven't expanded to Europe, if you haven't expanded to other channels, it doesn't hurt your conversation at all. That might be something that you can leverage in a conversation and say there's still a lot of pressure to potential to grow this brand, and that could be the leverage to have a good valuation. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that sounds like really good advice then. So people can, sort of leave a little bit of meat on the table and would that help them get a better valuation? Like if there's more potential, do you sort of look at that when you're doing the valuation and say, oh, well, there's a lot more potential, so we can pay a bit more for the business, or not?
Yeah, obviously, like we also the things we also look at is obviously the if the listings have been established, have been very strong in the market that they are present. That's one part, and another part would be the one that we were discussing like just now, about the potential to grow in the future, whether they can whether they have the potential to have this strong listings in other marketplaces as well. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Over to you, Kev.
Yeah, just before moving on to Kev, I just want to remind everyone that SellerX is offering free valuations. So if you go to this URL, indiasourcing.net/SellerX, there's a form that you can fill in. And regardless of where you are in your business, you don't have to be a really big seller, or you don't have to be ready for an exit. If you are, even if you're a year away from your exit, but if you're going toward that path, I think you can reach out to SellerX and get an evaluation done. And that will also help you. Maybe they'll also give some strategies and tips on what you should do to enhance your business further to make it more sellable to SellerX or anybody else. So if you are building a private label brand, don't hesitate to reach out to them. Just go to this URL and send them a message there. All right, Kevin, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Magna. Tom, what would be your first strategy after acquiring an existing business, a brand?
Thanks. That's a good question to start with. Yeah, so normally before we acquire the brand, we already kind of know what we will plan to do with this. This is done already during the pre-evaluation part. So the first step for us, once we acquire the brand, would be go for the quick win. So if we can immediately optimize some current performance operations, this is what we do immediately. So we can already gain those growths. The next step would be, of course, the leverage of the multifunctional team that we have here at SellerX. We have different experts in marketing, in supply chain, procurement, and expansion. So those teams, they are responsible for certain functionality. Yeah. So we have those teams and we use them so we can further grow the brand. It depends on the case by case of the brands, with which stage the brand is, what they can do, what kind of products they sell, and then this is what we do. But in general, there are 4 levers of growth that we would do with every brand, and we would consider to grow the brand. The first one is the operational efficiency. So this is where we try to optimize the marketing. We try to improve the demand plan so we don't go out of stock. We look into procurement opportunities if we can save on our cost of production because of our big scale. The next step is geographic expansion. This is one of the other levers we have. So when we look into the markets, if our brand is located, for example, in the US, then we would then further go into Asia, into Europe, or other regions. The next one, the next levers is channel expansion. So there, mostly we buy Amazon brands, right? And those brands, of course, they are not present on any other channels like Walmart or eBay. We also look into D2C opportunities, so opening a D2C shop with Shopify or any other platforms. And last and not least, the growth levers that we have that we can grow the brand is a product expansion. We look into the existing portfolio, we look how we can improve this, we look whether we can create any variations out of that or completely new product development that will fit the brand further. So these are the 4 levers that we would normally look into to grow for the brand.
Excellent, thanks. And do you always take a business to other marketplaces like Shopify or Walmart?
Yeah, that's actually depends. It's case on case because we need to look into the brand. We need to look at what the brand stands for and whether it fits to go, for example, into Shopify. So that makes sense to open the D2C shop. If it makes sense to grow the brand, to position the brand, whether there is an opportunity there, then of course we go into D2C Shopify. If we look into the brand and we see that, okay, there are some consumers that are located in Walmart or in eBay, we would go there. So in the end, what we try to do is we try to maximize the potential out of the brand. We try to maximize and see where the consumers are located. We try to be there where our consumers are.
So not all brands work on, all marketplaces. Some brands obviously work better on Amazon. Some brands work better on eBay, for instance, or Shopify or Walmart. Not all just instantly become.
Yeah, the starting point is always Amazon. So we acquiring FBA brand, so its starting point is always Amazon. Then we normally look whether D2C oriented or marketplace oriented. Then we would probably go into marketplace. We would go mostly into main marketplaces, big marketplaces, and then we test. So we launch the products there. We see, okay, it works or not, which products work, because different marketplaces have completely different like rules of the games. Maybe some products are working well on Amazon, but they don't work well on Walmart. But in the end, we need to test. Once you test, you launch, you see it's working well, we grow further. If it's not working, okay, we make some learnings, we try to launch something else there.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, and guys watching, let us know if you have any questions. So we've got all of these experts here. Fanyi is an expert at sourcing. So if you have any sourcing related questions, finding suppliers, vetting, negotiating, any sort of questions that you might have, she's got a wealth of experience in sourcing. And then we've got, Betty, not Fanyi. Betty is the sourcing expert. I mixed the two. Sorry about that. And then we've got Fanyi and Tom as well, who are more of, growing brands and acquiring brands. So those kinds of questions. Let us know if you have any questions. And before we move ahead, I also want to say that SellerX has put together a really comprehensive ebook that you guys should definitely download. So you should go to this URL, bit.ly/PPC ebook. And this is case sensitive. So PPC needs to be all caps and then ebook is lowercase. Just be mindful of that. And then download this free ebook. And I'm just going to show you some pages from the ebook real quickly so that you can get an idea of what's included. But this is an ebook that has been written by the experts at SellerX. And basically, it's 5 PPC strategies to future-proof your Amazon business in 2022. And, Margaret has also done an interview with one of the PPC experts at SellerX, and they have talked about what they exactly do in SellerX. So if you download this guide, there's, micromanaging ad spend with day parting strategies. That's something that is more advanced, but they've got some strategies over there. Then how to optimize your PPC spend with big data. That's another strategy to consider. Boost Amazon rankings with off-Amazon advertising. So there's some tips over there. Use modifiers for relevancy. So yeah, watch out for virtual product placement. So get this free ebook. There's a lot of good information about PPC in this ebook and how you can enhance your PPC, manage your PPC much better. So this is the link, bit.ly PPC ebook. Okay, so let's move on now. And my next question is for you, Betty. Now, we know that shipping costs have just been all over the world. All over the place throughout the world in 2020. Since 2020, they've just been all over the place. So what do you think is going to happen in Q4? There is a downward trend already, but do you think the downward trend will continue, and will shipping costs ever reach the levels where they were before COVID?
Yeah, the current market is really very unstable. So but we do see the spot rate has been dropped, and some spot rate is even below some of the long-term contract rate now. But we also see some port congestion and empty container issues again. And the carriers are smartly control the space. But as everybody already know that the oil prices keep rising and the war is still happening. So there's a lot of uncertainty. So I think the price will not be necessarily go down. But I assume the shipping cost will be maintained in a certain range like now.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. So let's see, we've got one question from Pachi. With expansion, do you have a good idea of what will work from your previous experience, or is it really a test and review that is the only real way to know? So I guess this question is for Tom. How do you know which? Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you, Pachi, for the question. Pachi is the name, probably. Yeah. So of course, we don't just blindly go and expand. There is always the pre-study, pre-evaluation. So we check the market. Let's say if we talk about geographical expansion, if we're located in the US, then we would probably go to Europe and Asia and other markets. Then we go there, we check competitors, we check categories, we check, okay, how much we can sell there, what kind of players are there, how can we compete there, which price we play, can we do this at this price, can we do what is the maximum sales we can make. All of this we need to pre-evaluate. We do some due diligence, right? We do this so we can do some demand plan, so we know how many products we can produce to expand there. Then we go there, and this is always one part is pre-study, the second part is reality. And then you go there, then reality kick in, and then you understand, okay, now this is what we can actually make. Then you learn based on that, and then you adjust your plan, and then you move forward. So it's a combination of two. But in the end, you never know if you don't do. So, of course, it's good to have a plan, but once you launch, you see what is happening, and then you adjust your plan.
Yeah. So be agile, like what we mentioned earlier. Be
Yeah.
agile and flexible. Cool. All right, Betty. So another question from you, and this is something I guess you must be dealing with on quite a regular basis. So, how do smaller sellers ensure that they always have enough stock available in the current climate where there's so much inconsistency and there's also, shipping issues, logistics issues, and demand is going up and down. So, how to manage inventory without really tying up too much capital?
It's really a good question. I think in general, just be flexible and pursue the certainty of supply chain. But in detail, there are several steps. Firstly, we need to closely monitor the daily sales status and your stock status. Meaning, you need to check how many stocks in EFC, how many in transportation, and how many in production. And based on this data, we need to develop an analyze model to make the decision. And certainly, we need to make a balance between cost and time. For example, we need to have a reliable supply chain, which makes the lead time of production and also the lead time of transport controllable. Actually, in general, there are a lot of data available. What you need to do is to have an automatic process based on the data and create a follow-up action. In summary, just use the available data in your decision making and transfer to action is a key.
Okay, so using data is important. And you don't have to go into too much detail, but does SellerX use some software to manage inventory, or how is it done in SellerX?
Yeah. Yes, we have a lot of different tools to help us evaluate all the data. I don't need to mention in more details, but automation is the culture of our company. We want to make everything automated and make good use of the data.
Okay, that is a really good point. Mark, over to you.
Okay, Fanyi. Now, just Tom's been saying that, like, when you purchase brands, that you tend to spread it into eBay and Shopify and Walmart and that. So, if someone had already done that with their brand, are you not as interested? Is that not as a desirable business, or is it fine to have multiple marketplaces going for yourself?
No, it's definitely something that we are interested in as well. If the seller, if the brand owner has already tested other marketplaces and other channels, and especially when they have initial success, I think that's a very positive signal. And that also would strengthen our confidence of going into those markets even further, right? But so definitely it's not a deal breaker. It's even very encouraging. Yeah.
Okay. And what categories, this is a question that everyone wants to know, what categories are the most desirable to sell in? If you've got any hot products that are all waiting for them.
I can name a few actually. So for acquisitions, what we are looking for are brands, stores are in so-called evergreen categories. So these are really day-to-day things that we can use from home to kitchen to outdoor to fitness to pet. So something that is not very fab. So for example, maybe fashion related things that are just in trend this year, but will go out of trend next year, things like that. So those are not things that we're looking for, but we're looking for evergreen products. Yeah. I think the hot ones recently can be pet brands, very, very attractive. Home and kitchen, we continue looking. Fitness and the outdoor as well. So as long as you have like a very strong listings, very good products, attract a lot of customers, there will be the things that we're looking for. Yeah. Just that it should not be so say trendy or fab ish. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Fanyi. Kev, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Tom, would you say expand to Amazon Europe and Asia, or is it category dependent and only if the products were in a very high demand there?
It's a good question. So, I mean, what is the goal for the brand is we want to have the products of our brands to be available for our consumers, to delight our consumers in every corner of the planet in the end. So if we are able to expand to the locations, we do it. And in the end, this is what, by doing this, we're reaching our consumers where they located, where they're available. And then in the end, sometimes when you work only in the home market, you will reach the potential, right? So, and you need to search for new opportunities, and that would be expanding to new markets. And it's a little bit close to what Pachi was asking before, like what is strategy, how you do. And for us, before going there, what is important is, as I mentioned before, to check the competition, to also check the compliance, whether we can go with these products, to check the labeling of the products, to deal with all of this legal stuff. So we make sure that what we launch is actually fine. And then commercial part is coming, right? So competition strategy, PPC strategy. So how you do it, how you deal with the supply chain, how you make sure that you deliver it, is the lead time is okay. So yeah, I would say yes, we're expanding if it's possible, and as much as we can, we do it.
Excellent. So with the current economic climate, do you think buyers should diversify to the countries which they are importing from?
Yeah, so it's not a secret that it was quite challenging economic environment for everyone during the COVID time, especially during the lockdown. And sometimes some products had longer lead time, and then you need to wait, and then sometimes you're going out of stock because of this. So to deal with this, you can, of course, diversify your risk. So there's a saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? So you can, of course, have supplier in different places. So in case one supplier is not capable to deliver in time, you still have the second solution as a backup. In the end, it's also a calculated risk. So what do you want to have? Like what can you do there? You can either have multiple suppliers for you to diversify the risk. You can also, let's say, pre-order more products from one supplier, but then you need to deal with the cost. Or you try to predict this. I don't think it's possible to predict things, but you try, and then maybe you already make some adjustments. But as I said, it's calculated risk. It's good to diversify your risk and to have backup solutions as well.
No, we've I know we sort of source from India, but there's there's other places emerging around the world now, and people are talking about different countries, etc. It's just interesting to see where India is becoming more and more. Even Megla, you had some figures a few weeks ago where India, it was amazing the figures that was put out that China versus India, how India has taken a giant leap within the last couple of years in with importing. So it's excellent.
Exactly, yeah. So let's take this question as well. We got another question from Pachi. What differences in tastes have you noticed between the marketplaces? Example, Germany versus USA. And I think this is a very broad question, but if you guys have any insights into, the differences in different marketplaces, that would be very helpful, I think, because a lot of sellers are actually based outside of the markets where they are selling. So who would like to take this question?
I think I can take a quick take on this. I think it depends on which category you're selling, right? So imagine that you're selling in home category. I think it's just worthwhile just to have a general sense of how household would look like in different countries. So one thing, for example, we come across is that some of the outdoor tools, for example, like lawn mowers and those things tend to be bigger for US or for Canadian households because they usually have bigger yard versus for European household. So that's maybe something that you can have in your mind. A European household, regardless, like outside garden or inside, is usually smaller. And that's the on the sides part. And the second may be something like regarding lifestyle. So people use things differently. They have different habits. And also, so that's in the home category. And for example, if you are selling in sports category, obviously different sports are like enjoys different popularity levels, like in different countries, right? So I think it's good just to do a bit more case study before you expand to other marketplaces, like what Tom suggested. So it never hurts to learn a little bit more beforehand.
Yeah. And Mark, can you share some of your tips? So you watch a lot of American shows, for example, to see what products they've kept in their house and what they use, right? Do you want to expand on that a
Look,
bit?
I do. Yeah, I find that really interesting to watch. And I mean, I've got quite hooked on these shows now. And I mean, I usually only watch the end when they've done all the renovation and they're just styling the house, because you can just sort of see the trends and the colors, and and in different states, even in America, obviously, where it's on the beach, there's a lot of the beachy themes and things. And then you get I love it when we go up into the mountains and you have the mountain men sort of rugged look and all the cast iron and things. But I think it's a good way to find some different products is to get on and watch all those. And I mean, obviously there's shows in the UK, there's shows in Europe of similar things. So I think those sort of things, it's probably a good hobby to take up, is instead of watching all the odd things on the TV, start watching all the lifestyle programs and do a bit of homework for your business.
Yeah, so these are all of the home improvement programs, right? So when they
like they're mainly where they do renovations, or look, I watch things like House Hunters International, and people just go and look for an apartment. They might move from the States to Paris or Germany or somewhere, and they're usually getting a rented fully furnished apartment, and you can sort of see the decor and the difference in them. So yeah, I'm rather hooked on it now. So yeah, it's great fun to watch. So it's I'm sure you get a lot of tips of things that you could put on the bench, and how they how much. And they put in America, they have a lot of stuff on their bench. They have a lot of clutter. Like I kept going, God, there's so much stuff that I'd hate to dust it all. But I mean, it's good for me because I'm going to buy more of my products because they like lots of things on their benches. So I think it's great.
Right. So guys watching, let us know if you have any questions for our panelists here. Okay, so Betty, talking to you about photography now, do you have any advice for sellers when they are doing product photography?
Yes, that's not really my area, but I think I can answer the question from. First of all, I think we need to pay special attention to the definition of product photography and photography, because not all the photographer can do a good job in product shooting. So understand the standard and the requirement from Amazon is a basic. So have photo shooting and editing experience with e-commerce, especially Amazon business, is preferred. Secondly, I think we need to think about the production. Imagine you need to take 1,000 pictures within a very short period of time, but you need to find a reliable service provider with the scale and the operation capacity that you need, and ensure a good output. Last one, I think maybe you need to pay attention to the confidentiality. So the service provider need to fully aware that they need to keep this photo or product confidential. I see these are 3 points I like to mention here.
Yeah, those are really good points. And Betty, I want to ask you another question related to quality control, because this is something that I guess you being in the sourcing department and in Dongguan, you really deal with this on a regular basis. So can you share any tips with our audience about how to manage quality control when sourcing from overseas?
Actually, I'm more responsible for the operation, not really for the sourcing. But okay. I also can answer the question. We have a team of quality team in warehouse Dongguan. I think they have very strict guideline for quality, and also we have a lot of tools to help you identify the quality issue, and we even have our engineer, and we send a lot of QC team to help a supplier to identify their problem in production and help to improve the quality issue.
Okay. Mark, over to you.
Okay. Yeah, Fanyi, now we talked about products that are desirable. What are products that people don't want to buy, or brands that people don't want to buy, that, like, say, supplements? Is that, to me, is that something that would be a desirable business or not?
No, supplement, we actually also acquired top brands in the supplement niche on US marketplace as well. But yeah, this is a bit tricky to deal with, right? As you can imagine, there are a lot of product regulations around this niche. But nevertheless, if it's a strong brand, we would very much like to have a conversation. Yeah, so the categories that are not very desirable, I think I also quickly touched on that when we were talking about the favorable categories. So the not desirable ones would be maybe something that with like really, really high seasonalities. So imagine that 80% of your sales coming from November, December. That's really difficult for us to acquire as a brand. Or it's just a lot of uncertainty right around that. Another thing is the products are not like sustainable or like evergreen enough. Maybe the trend or the consumer demand is only there for a couple of months, but not later. So you can imagine some very trendy toys that were popular maybe 2 years ago, and now you don't even see them anymore. So that's something maybe the seller friends they can have in their mind when they look for new product ideas, when they try to launch new products. Think about the shelf life of this product, whether people still going to buy this in 2-3 years, 3-5 years. If yes, then that's definitely the brands, the businesses that we're interested in as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so probably the burrito blankets have gone by the wayside by now. Did you ever see the burrito blankets?
Yeah, I've seen the burrito blankets. Yeah, that was quite big
Fidget
on
spinners.
social. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Tom, what would be your best bit of advice for brand owners wishing to scale?
So for the brand owner and wishing to scale, I would say it's good to actually know your strengths, your weaknesses, so you know what you are strong, like what are your advantages versus your competitors, so what you can leverage. To know your weaknesses, so you know where you are lacking behind your competitors, so you can protect this, you can maybe improve that fields. So this is all kind of to make sure that your business is sustainable, and it's not that just for 1 year that you're selling, but you will sell for more than that. To understand your capability, your resources. So when you scale, you understand, okay, do you have resources to do this? How much resources are you capable of doing this? Or do you need to hire someone on top? You need some additional investments. And based on that, you build a case and you understand, okay, this is your kind of current situation. And when you scale what you can get, you compare this. And if it makes sense, then yeah, you go and you scale and you can build your business in a more sustainable way.
Excellent, thank you.
Right, great advice over there from everyone. So everyone watching, let us know if you have any questions for the panelists here. And I just want to ask, maybe Tom or Fanyi can answer this question. So what are some of the common mistakes that you see brands making, and that some of the mistakes that you don't like to see in brands that you're acquiring? What are some things that they should avoid doing? Who can take this question?
Maybe I can start.
Yeah, maybe both of you.
I mean, the first thing that is coming to my mind is not following Amazon's guidelines, right? Maybe this is one of them was because maybe sometimes it works, right? You feel, wow, it's working for me, it's going well, but one day you can be just like Amazon can just suspend you, and that's it. And it takes a lot of efforts and time to actually prove all the things and come back on track. And it costs a lot, like maybe a small risk, but it's maybe not worth it, right? So yeah, so this is what first thing that came to my mind immediately when you asked this question.
Okay. So guys, be very careful. No black hat, no gray hat. You've got to make sure that you're following Amazon TOS. Mark, you were going to say something?
No, it's all right. No.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
Yeah, I think I can add to Tom. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I think
Go
I
ahead,
can
Fanyi.
add to what Tom has pointed out. I think overall compliance. So not only compliance with the marketplace, but overall supply chain compliance. Make sure that you have all the product certificates in place. Make sure that customs are fully paid. So those things, yeah. Make sure that you have like enough like product testing done, right? Especially when you sell in like baby category, supplement category. Those are very sensitive topics. So the business that we really like is that they have all the requirements in place, and their products are safe and and very very solid and of very good quality. So that's one thing that it's not a common mistake, but I would say that when you first started, obviously you're super overwhelmed by all kinds of tasks that you have on your desk, and then the compliance one maybe is not something that you prioritize in the first of 3-6 months, but it should be more, it should gain more importance at the seller task list, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions from the audience as well, but I just thought of one question that somebody asked in our mastermind recently, and that is about brand names. So, how important is the actual name of the brand for you? So, let's say, for example, if the brand is called, Tom's Products, and it's a very generic kind of name, but they make really good products, and it's, unique product. Does it really matter if it is called Tom's Products, or are you also looking for a fancy name that really represents the brand and the products? I mean, how important is the actual name for you? Fanny, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I think from the acquisition perspective, having a more relevant and a proper brand name definitely would would play well on your case, but it's not a must. It the products are still more important than anything, right? Whether it's good quality products, but having a really good brand name definitely aid to case. So maybe that's also something that our sellers can put a little bit more time in before starting a new brand. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Okay,
to
think
add
about
up
the
on
brand.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, sorry, maybe to add up on that.
Yeah, because
Wait, Tom, you go ahead. Kevin, go
Yeah,
after
yeah.
Tom.
Um,
go ahead.
sorry, yeah,
Tom,
yeah.
go
Okay,
ahead.
I go ahead. So to add up on that, right? So one thing is, yeah, a good name, of course, it's a bonus, and another thing is your name and dealing with intellectual property. So for example, maybe your name is okay in one country, but once you start expanding, you do this compliance checkup, you do legal checkup, you say, okay, can you go with this name in other countries? Are there any registered trademarks for this name? And then this is what might be also a blocker. Like you can see, okay, maybe this name is already registered. It's very difficult. You cannot really go in with this name, with your brand. And this might be, let's say, a challenge to bring the product and further expand the business. So maybe this is the point regarding the brand name.
Okay, so make sure that it's registered in different geographies. That's what I have, right? Okay, Kevin,
so
you were
would
saying
be,
something?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, we found that people sort of tend to overthink the brand name when first starting out, and we've gone through scenarios where people, like a big long name, so to speak, whereas ABCD could be just as appropriate if they're selling the right products. So it doesn't have to be like a Nike with a whoosh, that people need to have to be,
Yeah, and I think
at
as
least,
long as the brand name is relevant to
yeah,
the product and it's not totally disconnected. So if you have like,
yeah,
pretty shoes and you're selling hardware under that brand, I think that would be a mismatch and
yeah.
probably not a very good situation. But I think as long as the brand name sort of fits, it should be okay. Okay,
yeah.
so let's take a couple of questions. Chris is asking, how do you avoid out of stocks across your products? So who can take this question? Betty, do you think you can answer this? You were talking about inventory management earlier. So this is kind of related to that.
Yes, I can take over here. I think, as I mentioned before, we need to pursue the certainty of the supply chain. So you need to close monitor your daily sales and your stock status. And also you need to develop an analyze model. You need to have clear understanding of the lead time of your production and lead time of your transport. So you will use this data available and try to make a calculation based on this. In summary, just use the available data to make your decision and act in timely for that.
Okay. That's great advice. So, Chris, look at your data. Let the data do all of the work, but make sure that you're interpreting and analyzing your data correctly by using different tools like SellerX
Yes.
does. All right. So, Sam is asking, what is the average shipping price to ship a full container of 40 foot from India to USA and to Canada? So, the good news is that shipping costs have been coming down recently. Mark, do you want to talk about this? Because you've been
Yes.
doing a bit
Look,
of.
at the moment, I believe a 40-foot container, and going from India, we suggest you go into New York, not California, because it is about a week and a half quicker and a lot cheaper with port costs and things. And it's around about $10,000 for a 40-foot container as of about I think that was last week. So it changes constantly. It's not a static thing. So don't come back in 2 months and think it's going to be the same, because hopefully it's coming down more and more, because it is slowly coming on the nice downward trend, but we just don't know, because as we were saying before, like fuel costs, if they keep going up and things like that, it can change things slightly, because the shipping costs also get I suppose hooked into the road transport, especially in the US, and I think that is adding to your shipping cost, is when it gets to the port, if you're going to Texas or somewhere and there's a lot more road transport with the fuel and the driver's costs, that can also add to it. But at the moment, a 40-foot container to the port is about 10.
Okay. And then 20 is around
8, I think, 8.5. Yeah.
8. Yeah, 20 is 8. Okay. But yeah, rates are going down, so that's really good. Okay, so Pachi saying, I was interested to hear that the number one expansion lever was process efficiency. I guess this is so you do not expand your inefficiencies along with your business. What examples of process efficiency are most common or easy wins? Yeah, this is a great question. So, how can sellers improve their operational efficiency?
Yeah, I think I can take this one. So let's start with maybe marketing field, like PPC, sponsor ads. I think there, first thing we look at how efficient is your marketing, how efficient you spend, look at the conversion, look at the traffic you gain, look at ROAS. Based on that, you optimize your campaigns, and this is already a quick win. So you see, okay, if you're overspending on the products that don't bring you much sales or much profit, maybe you try to cut spending there and put your spending into those campaigns and those products that bring more profitability and more sales. So that's one thing. Second thing is regarding the Amazon fees, right? So you can look into your products, you can see whether they are in the right category, because different categories have different seller fees. So by maybe switching your product into the right category that it is, maybe you are already saving some money. Or if there are different programs at Amazon, for example, small and light program. If your products are eligible for small and light programs, you can move your product into that program, and your fees for FBA immediately going down. Another one is maybe changing the packaging. If you are in a certain FBA fees group, and if you see that your product doesn't need to have such big packaging, such big dimensions, you can adjust this, and you again saving your fees. One other example what I can think about is as well warehousing costs at Amazon, or warehousing costs overall. So it's about planning your demand, planning how much products you can sell. If you plan well, you don't need to overspend on warehousing, on transport, and so on. So this, I think, already the first thing you can start looking at your business, at what you have currently, and try to optimize.
Okay, that is great advice. Okay, so another question from Chris. How important is building a unified brand versus just selling great quality products?
How important? I mean, I can also take this question as well.
Yeah,
So
go for it.
to think from the brand building perspective, right? When you build a brand, you are known not only for good products, you're also known from the brand perspective. Your consumers start to look for you not by generic keywords. They don't search for, I don't know, a pen. They search for the pen and your brand name. So it's a branded keyword. Maybe it costs less for you, but they already know what they want, and conversion here is normally higher because they know, they want you, they want to buy you. If you just buy great quality products, there are a lot of sellers that can buy great quality products, and then the competition is higher. And when the competition is higher, you like your product acquisition cost is tend to be also higher. So in terms of this, I would say it should go alongside. So you need to first of all take care that your products are actually quality products. So this is the first thing. And second step, yeah, you build a brand along with this so you can save your money, and then you can basically expand better.
All right.
Yeah, I think I can
Fanyi,
add.
do you want to add?
A perspective also from acquisition. I think it depends on what you want to achieve with this business or this brand that you have. If you would like just to run it for a long time, forever, then it's your choice. Maybe that a unified brand doesn't matter as much. Versus that if you wish to build a small business up for acquisition in 12 months, in 18 months, then a brand would be very important. I think that also would give you a better valuation than just selling good quality products. And also another thing that we noticed that I mean, now Amazon sellers also try to promote a lot of things off Amazon using others like social media channel, for example. When you have a unified brand message or brand, it's easier to approach, say, influencers or editors who would like to maybe feature your products on their platforms or using their resources, right? So I think that's also something that could be very helpful for your marketing purpose when you have a unified brand. It's just that, yeah, it's a very, very good thing to have. It's also a difficult thing to have, right? So that requires a lot of resources and also investment upfront. So I think it depends on the seller's choice. Yeah.
Right. And you just touched upon social media. So, how important is it for you guys, for the brand to have a good social media following and, like presence on Instagram and Facebook and other communities on social media? Is it critical or is it not very important?
No, I think just realistically, it would be too much to ask the seller to take care of everything all at once, right? So that's definitely not a hard requirement at all. But if we see the products are suitable for like possible off Amazon promotion, I think that would be very beneficial for the cases. Or there are already some very organic, positive voices about these products on other platforms, right? So not only the couple of thousand or couple of 10,000 like reviews that you got on Amazon, but also people are talking about this, maybe willingly share pictures of the products outside of Amazon. I think that's all gonna help in your cases. Yeah.
Okay. Andy's saying hi.
Hi,
So
Andy.
we'll start.
Yeah.
We'll start wrapping up now. And everybody watching, if you have any last questions for our panelists, please type them in the comments now. But I guess one last question for all of you is, if you had to give sellers one piece of advice on how they can make their brands more sellable, what would that one piece of advice be? And we'll start with Betty. Do you want to go first?
Yes, I think good quality.
Good quality. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good quality products. That's great advice from Betty. Tom, what about you?
Yeah, I actually wanted to say the same. So good quality, but maybe to add up on this, good quality with a
It's a
good
reasonable
price.
price.
With a good price.
Okay, awesome. Good quality and good price. Fanny, what about you?
Yeah, I think those 2 points are excellent points. for me and also for what my team has been doing is that I obviously encourage everybody to think concretely what you want to achieve with this brand. And the one piece of advice would be it's never too early to start the conversation, and you can always get more concrete suggestions for your brand when you talk to potential potential buyer. So that's one piece of advice that I will give, is that it's never too early to start the conversation. So just feel free to reach out to the expert and then to get opinions, on this journey.
All right, fantastic. And Andy is early as usual. So great. I just want to remind everyone that you can find a lot of these resources, and we've been publishing content throughout the month of June in partnership with SellerX. And you can go to this page, indiasourcing.net/SellerX, to get all of these resources. There's a form there where you can sign up to receive all of the videos, the ebook. We've done an article. We've done so much over the last 30 days, and of course, a presentation for this, a copy of this presentation as well. And Gail is joining us. Great information. Thank you all. Looking forward to speaking with Mark on Sunday. Okay. Cool. So, thank you so much for joining us, Fanyi, Tom, and Betty. Really nice conversation with you guys. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye.
All right. So
Bye.
thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us. And then we will see you tomorrow. We've got a quick live stream that we're going to be doing tomorrow in the Facebook group. And then on Friday, we've got VIS coming up Friday morning in Australia and Asia. We've got Virtual India Sourcing Show coming up. So we'll see you then. All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay.